It is time, my friends, to welcome in our good friend, Ted Murmagos, the Director of the Division of Child Support Services. Ted, good morning.
Good morning, Jake.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Ted, I'm doing well, but we still continue to get emails.
Yeah.
One of those I wanted to, and by the way, what happens, I get those emails and then I forward them right to the big guy himself, and the big guy takes care of it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I take a look at them, and will actually, if I'm in the office or at home in front of my computer, actually bring up the case and look to see what's happening or what's not happening to try and determine the next best steps for that case to move forward. Reach out to the caseworker and have a conversation with them about some of the things that I'm seeing about a case that maybe can move that case in the right direction, right, and try ultimately to get those child support payments in the door.
302-945-9292. If you have questions for Ted Murmagos, the Director of the Division of Child Support Services, Ted is here to answer your questions, to address your issues. Ted is available to speak to you right now at 302-945-9292, 800-518-9292, and pound 927. That's a free call, compliments of Verizon Wireless on your Verizon Wireless cell phone. Now, for instance, a couple of weeks ago, received an email from a listener, and I'm not going to mention the person's name, obviously, but hello, Mr. Smith. I sent an application for child support on my children's behalf, and I haven't heard back from your office yet. The person did the right thing, gave the names of the children, the names, the date of birth.
Yep.
Can you help me? Tell us what you were able to do for that person, Ted.
Right. So actually went in and like I said, I looked at their particular situation, and there was an application received by our employee I think it was in our Newcastle County office.
Okay.
And the petition had been processed with the family court. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens before we go ahead and hit that button to get that process started with the family court.
Right.
Just verification processes. Locate. If the custodial parent is saying the non-custodial parent resides at a certain location, we try to verify that before we start generating petitions, because the person has to be served for family court. So before that hearing can take place, service has to take place, and that kind of thing. So this writer was correct. She submitted an application. We had completed some verification and generated that petition for the family court. And it actually had gotten to the point where the courts had scheduled for genetic testing to take place.
Okay.
So, and the non-custodial parent failed to attend that genetic testing process, which when that happens, the courts will schedule another hearing, in this case, mediation, to bring the parties back in and try to figure out why didn't you go to that scheduled genetic testing.
Because at this point, you need to make sure that the person who's being accused of being the non-custodial parent actually is the non-custodial, unless they accept responsibility for those children.
Correct. Right? Nothing happens as it relates to establishing a court order without paternity being adjudicated either by the family court or being acknowledged by that, we call them putative fathers before they are deemed the biological parent. So when the person doesn't want to acknowledge paternity, there is that genetic testing course, and we take that all the time, and they have to go to LabCorp in our state here and have that genetic testing done. So when they don't show up for that genetic testing, they still have to come back to family court because that petition has to be resolved, and the courts will determine why didn't you go and reschedule it, or if the person who didn't go to genetic testing doesn't show up back at family court, they can issue that bench warrant that we've talked about previously, that civil bench warrant.
Which they would prefer not to do,
They would prefer not to do.
Right.
So, but in this particular case, I was able to get with the child support worker, get back to the custodial parent.
And let them know where you are in the process.
And I even suggested to our worker to reach out to the non-custodial parent, find out why they didn't go. We can help reschedule that testing, and in some cases try to get them back on track.
Our guest is Ted Murmagos, the Director of the Division of Child Support Services. Give us a call right now if you have questions or issues with respect to child support here in the First State. 302-945-9292, 800-518-9292. If you have a Verizon Wireless cell phone, pound 927. That is a toll-free call as well. Ted, some conditions in your office have changed. Let's talk about that in a moment, but we need to take a break here as we are talking child support and child support issues here on the Talk of Delmarva 92.7, 98.5. Stay with us. You're listening to the one, the only Talk of Delmarva 92.7, 98.5. Jake Smith, Delmarva's anchorman, with you until noon today. It is our monthly child support enforcement segment. Not so much enforcement as it is, Ted, trying to help you navigate through the system, whether you're a custodial parent or a non-custodial parent. And one of the things that's happened just recently since I've seen you last is your office is now open, where people can come into your office.
Right. We technically we've been open,
right.
But we're really encouraging people we're still kind of encouraging people to contact our office by telephone at the 577-7171 customer service number. But anyone can now come to one of our 3 offices and actually be seen and have their concerns and issues addressed by an employee of our office. Technically, we've had people during the pandemic who've come to our office and we've actually said, hey, can you call first before you come in? But now they can just come in, and we're happy to provide them with documents if they need information, or they can meet with a child support specialist and have their concerns addressed.
302-945-9292 if you have a question for Ted Merbicos, who is the director of the Division of Child Support Services. That's why those emails that you send to my attention for child support issues get such prompt attention, because I forward them on to the big guy himself.
Right.
And he takes them on. Now, Ted, we had a couple of months ago, I guess it was 2 or 3 months ago, we had a case where there was a non-custodial parent who was self-employed, was not paying regularly their child support bill, and you were able to take some action against that, because it's hard. I guess it's harder to get those payments made when someone is working, they're self-employed.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
So why don't you tell us, give us a rundown on that story. I'm sure some of our listeners will remember it.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely, Jake. People who are self-employed or working under the table, unless they're really, engaged in the process and really are keeping up on paying their child support on their own, it's really hard for the child support agency to, issue an order of income withholding, a wage attachment, on their income. It's really that responsibility really falls on them to make those payments, make those payments on their own. And in that particular case that you're referencing, this was an individual who did, quite honestly, have a large balance of arrears that were owed to the custodial parent.
A lot of money.
A lot of money. When she wrote you, I think she said it was like $40,000. And there were some concerns about payments not coming in on a regular basis. And some of the things that she was looking for us to do at the child support office. One of the things, and we've never really talked about this before, is that the child support office can file liens against individuals who owe certain balances of child support. And that's one of the things that we did for this particular custodial parent.
Right.
With the help of the Department of Justice, we filed a document with the family court to have that large arrears balance, what they call reduced to a judgment. And that judgment was filed with the Pathonetary's office in Kent County. This was a Kent County case.
Right.
And it basically puts a lien on that non-custodial parent's business on any kind of, in this particular person, I think the custodial parent says he flips houses and has a body shop that he works on cars with and that kind of thing. So, when you reduce those arrears to a judgment, and that's filed with the Pathonetary's office, when he tries to sell a house or, has another type of a business dealing, they're going to check to see, are there any liens out there on that particular person? And if there are, before that house can get sold, then that judgment needs to be satisfied. So, that's just one of the other tools that we never really kind of talk about,
right?
But can actually take place with the help of the Department of Justice and the court ruling that this arrears balance meets that threshold, that it should be filed as a judgment, so that, when they try to sell a house, he's going to have to resolve that lien in order to move forward with the sale. So we're hoping that that's something that's going to help her get a lump sum payment or get some kind of a regular payment from that non-custodial parent.
Well, 2 points that I want to make, and I know there are people, there are listeners out there right now saying, well, that's really heavy-handed on the part of the state of Delaware to do this. Well, here's 2 issues. First of all, he owes $40,000 to support his own children.
Right.
If he is not paying, the taxpayers are most likely subsidizing the raising and clothing and feeding of these children, number one. And number two, he's their parent, for crying out loud. He's got the money. He chooses not to pay it. Whatever his issue is. He and his ex-wife don't like each other. They hate each other. But we understand that. Those of us at divorce understand that issue. But they're your kids, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I mean, and ultimately, even if the state isn't picking up that, burden.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
The custodial parent is having to do it.
Well, that's true.
And it's
right.
How many jobs is she working? And it kind of trickles down a little bit. If she's not home because she's working several jobs.
The kids aren't being supervised properly.
Yeah, and there's the child-parent relationship. And, ultimately, and if non-custodial parents, my thing is that if you can't make what the order is, pay something, so the custodial parent sees a steady...
Make an intent, at least make an effort, show an intent to
comply.
To comply,
yeah.
Right.
And it's going to go a long way with the children involved. If they see dad or mom, who's ever paying that child support obligation, making an effort to help and support, that financial support definitely works and turns into an emotional support. Showing the child that you're emotionally, part of their lives by not only financially supporting them, but playing a role in helping with their upbringing. And that's the financial piece of that.
It's like the dominoes when the parent, the non-custodial parent, doesn't pay. There's like a domino effect, and the kids are the last domino that it falls on, right?
Unfortunately, and it does affect a lot of families here in the state, and that's why it's one of the reasons why I'm here. Is I want to let the non-custodial parent know that it's never really too late. That if you're not on board right now, call us at the child support office. Come to our office and talk to somebody about getting back on track.
Does it bode well for the non-custodial parent, man or woman? And there are non-custodial parents who are women and have that they have responsibility too, if they're women. But if the court gets a printout from your office that shows that there are payments, at least something is being paid, does it bode well then how the court looks at that non-custodial parent and the fact that they may cut them a little bit more slack because they've made a good faith effort to pay?
I mean, every case is different, but in my opinion, it definitely does have it's a definite positive move rather than a negative. Because you know what it does, Jake? It opens up a conversation with the court and the non-custodial parent.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
I mean, are you having financial difficulties?
Right.
What is the... Okay.
Rather than looking at an account statement and seeing no payments, it's like the court is not going to just be like, they're not going to take a more of a working relationship with a non-custodial parent, a partnership to try to, if they don't see anything.
Everybody wins then.
Yeah.
Everybody wins,
But if the courts don't see any payments coming in,
that's different.
They're not going to treat you as favorable.
You've shown what your purpose is. You don't want to pay.
You don't want to pay, and you keep thumbing your nose at the court, and they don't like that. They don't like it.
Courts generally don't look favorably on those things, Ted.
No.
Ted Merrigo's the director of the Division of Child Support Services, joining us here at Kim Benton State Farm, 302-945-9292, 800-518-9292, and pound 927 if you have a Verizon wireless cell phone. More with Ted here at Kim Benton State Farm in just a moment. Thank you, Max. All right, we're now that we've totally embarrassed Ted by outing him about his Mercedes.
Yeah, no, Jack, I don't drive a Mercedes.
No, I know that. 302-945-9292, 945-9292, 302-945-9292. If you got a question for Ted Murmagos, the Director of the Division of Child Support Services. Ted, I know where your office is located in Georgetown in Sussex County because I have a doctor that's right next door over there. Okay. But where is your office in Kent County? Is in Dover, correct?
Yep. Our office in Kent County is is at 905 South Governors Avenue, which is about maybe a quarter of a mile south of Kent General Hospital. Mm-hmm. And in Newcastle, we're located at 84A Christiana Road, which is also known as Route 273. Mm-hmm. And we're about a quarter of a mile from Route 13 if you go west. And then, like you said, down here in Sussex County, we're at the Georgetown Professional Park across from the Walmart.
Right.
And we have 3 offices statewide. So we're not like some of my sister divisions at DHSS. We only have 3 offices. Mm-hmm. And it's...
You can only drop off a payment at one office, though, and that's up north, right?
Well, you can, if you have to make a payment to avoid incarceration or to have your license, whether it's a driver's license, professional license, business license, or hunting and fishing license. If you have to get those licenses reinstated, you can go to all 3 offices and make a payment. Okay. But if you just want to make your regular child support payment, you have to mail that up to Newcastle County, and it's in your court order. But if you live in Newcastle County and you need to make a payment, we do have a drop box in Newcastle County that's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Ted, if there is a parent who's going to become a non-custodial parent in the near future, a marriage relationship is breaking up, what would be the first thing that you would recommend to that person who is soon to become a non-custodial parent? In other words, they're not going to be living with their children. The situation is going to change. What would you say to that person?
You know what, Jake? You might be surprised by this. The first thing I would say to them is, if you can work it out together and avoid
off the grid, so to speak.
If you and your partner can work out this type of the child support situation on your own, or making sure the children have medical insurance coverage, without having to involve the child support office, go for it. That's even better, that the parties can work together to resolve their issues. So if you can do that, we are saying to them, go forth and work together for the best interest of the child. It's only when those situations don't work that we say, hey, come to our office. You can reach out. If you're a potential new non-custodial parent, you can still reach out to our office and ask questions and to understand the process.
What is that number, Ted?
Area code 302,
right?
577-7171.
Okay.
Yep, and there's child support specialists that you can listen to an automated recording of certain services that we provide, but you can also hit, I think it's number 5 on your telephone, and speak to a child support specialist directly, and you can ask questions, and they'll help you through that process.
I mean, if you have the right to control your own destiny in this situation, not to let someone else control it, Ted. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Exactly. Absolutely.
All right, 302-945-9292. Ted Murmagos, the Director of the Division of Child Support Services, is here for our monthly segment. We need to step away. We will be back with more of our monthly child support segment with Ted in just a moment. This is a great one. Some whiskey in your water, sugar in your tea. 3 Dog Night. Yes. You're listening to the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7, 98.5, and this absolutely gorgeous Wednesday morning. This kind of a day was well-deserved by the Peninsula, Ted, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ted, you are going to be doing some presentations in the near future, and I was interested in one you're going to be doing up in Baston in the near future. But what you've done with your department in using social media and the media to get the message about child support services has gotten the attention of child support representatives up in Baston.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing a presentation up there.
And it's actually...
You didn't invite me to go with you.
No. Actually, Jake, it's a group of child support directors from around the country. We meet annually to talk about child support across the things that are going on across the country. And, one of the things that they've been impressed by is our use of social media and the regular media
That's to your credit, Ted. You've done that.
And it,
so.
well, thank you. And it puts, what they say to me is that, it kind of puts us in an awkward position, And,
why is that?
Well, about having to be, you find that not everyone is willing to talk about child support in a rational manner. Being confronted about child support can be, can be a difficult situation.
Been there, done that.
Well, one of the things I try to talk to my employees about, you should never be embarrassed about the fact you work at child support. We have sweatshirts and we have bags that have our logo and our name on it. And, I said, when you're out in public and you're approached about something, like if you're wearing a child support sweatshirt and someone approaches like, do you work at child support? You should be proud to say you work at child support and try to help them and try to help them, if anything, give them the numbers that they can call somebody at child support to talk about their issues. So I'm proud about some of the things we're doing to try and bridge some of the gaps with individuals in the community to try and help them understand the child support process. So it has gotten noticed by other of some of my colleagues, and I'm really happy to be able to talk to them about some of the things I'm doing as it relates to our monthly Child Support Connection Facebook Live event, where we take questions, and I take questions from the public, and the radio show and some of the things we're doing, you and I are doing as it relates to helping the public.
I mean, how many people have you and I, just from me forwarding emails, it's cut through the red tape, gotten their questions or their issues to you directly? How many people have been helped by that? I would think quite a few.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say? Like, do we get probably 3 or 4 emails a month?
Yeah, but
that
those are 3 or 4 people that
that
have children, and
that's somebody that maybe wouldn't have called our office or didn't know how to get a hold of somebody at our office. So I think that's definitely a testament to some of the things we've been doing over the last several years. And I'm glad that my colleagues, and I'm trying to encourage my colleagues in other states to take this step and to expand their horizons a little bit. And one of the other things they've asked me to do, and I've written a article for our Child Support Association, National Association, about social media and the media, and to be published in their quarterly newsletter. So the word is definitely getting out about some of the things we're doing here on the radio and some of the things I'm doing from a social media.
I mean, it seems to me that the bottom line is the children have been helped by what we are.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
Absolutely.
Here. Okay. I thought we had an email. It's similar issue, but the bottom line is that children have been helped, and that is the point of it all, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. And and one of the ththings, like, it's almost even more important to me to be able to reach out to those non-custodial parents who feel the system has left them behind. And they look at their arrears balance and say, I'm never going to be able to overcome this mountain of debt. But there is a way, and that's one of the things I want to do about coming to the radio show and talking to people about trying to overcome some of the things that.
And you've said many times, don't ignore it. It's only going to get worse. Address the issue. There are ways for this to be worked out, for the situation, Ted, to be worked out. Correct?
Absolutely. And it does sometimes it does entail going to family court, and I know can be a scary place for people. The court system.
Men don't feel that the courts are in their favor. That's the way they feel. Yeah. I mean, I felt that way when I was in family court. It's just men feel that they're the underdogs whatever they do, wherever they have to go in this situation that they are. But the fact of the matter is, the problem is just going to balloon if you do not address it.
I've seen some terrible situations, Jake, where those arrears balances have just gotten to be huge. And, I can see how people would feel defeated by that. But there really is a way that if they take a step back and look at the situation and, figure out what's the best avenue to reduce that arrears balance. And some of it does entail coming to the child support office and talking to us. And we'll work with them to the best that we can, but some of it's going to have to entail them engaging that family court in the process.
Yeah, and they're going to be expected to make some type of a commitment at that point, financial commitment, right?
Yeah. And sometimes it takes that non-custodial parent to reach an age where they've kind of said, I'm ready to make a change. And there's agencies, not only child support, but there's nonprofit agencies in the state that can help people There's a Delaware Family and Fatherhood Coalition. They work with families to try and help them overcome some of the burdens they may feel at family court or they may feel at the child support office, and we work with them.
There's also opportunities if they need employment, if they can find a job.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah, I mean the Department of Labor. When we work closely with the Department of Labor, and we can make referrals to the employment and training units at our departments of labor. They have a great system, a computer system that will help people find jobs. There are jobs. You always hear about like the unemployment rate is really low, but there's still tons of jobs here in Delaware.
Ted, I'm sure you would not be upset if there was no need for your department, right? If all children were provided for.
Absolutely.
But the fact of the matter is that children are not provided for,
right.
And it's not fair to the taxpayer, and it's not fair to the children. So that's why you're here.
That's right. That's right, Jim. Thank you very much.
Ted, thanks so much for coming in
great.
and being here again. We will see you hopefully next month.
Yes, sir.
All
yes,
right.
Sir. Thank
You're
you,
listening
Jim.
to the Talk of Delmarva, 92.7, 98.5. More coming up in the next hour on Out and About Wednesday.